If you're very passionate about it and you think you can sell it,
If you can think more outside the box too, you can save a lot of money and create something unique like you have.
hey, it could be the next big thing, blow up. If you have a good graphic designer, there's different programs you can use for free.
You need at least 3 estimates.
It took me 3 years to find out that I could do that.
All right, we are so glad that you're here today. I have one of my favorite people on my channel today, Jen Fassino, who is like, she does everything. She used to be a hairdresser, to she owned a salon, to now she runs her own hair care line that no big deal Miley Cyrus uses, and it's sold in Urban Outfitters, right?
It is, yes. And Saks Avenue, New York as well.
Wow, I see. She's crazy. Heck yes. And then also, like, during COVID, she started her own hand sanitizer company, and she talked on Create and Cultivate about pivoting, and now she dove a little bit into coaching, and she's got a podcast coming out. So Jen, thank you so much for being here.
My gosh, thanks for having me. This has been a long time coming. It's been in the works. So
I know. So Jen and I know each other because I say that we're in like a mastermind together. Wouldn't you say?
I would definitely call it a mastermind. It's a very exclusive mastermind. And it's every Saturday, and it's great. I look forward to it every week, and there's a good group of us. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is so fun. We have a crazy group of women. So we meet every Saturday. And so we've gotten to know each other because we actually had invested in a course together. And then it sort of started off like an accountability group. And now it's really grown into something, I feel like, much bigger than that. It's really, really neat. And so I'm glad that you're on today because I wanted people to learn from you a bit about just how you think about entrepreneurship, but also how you've been able to create a physical product. I know a lot of teachers are interested in that. So let's just dive right in. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Let's do it.
Okay. So Jen, actually, how many companies do you currently run right now?
Technically, I would say 4. So there's so full disclosure, I go back and forth between Los Angeles and Austin, Texas. I'm currently based in Austin, Texas, but I'm from Wisconsin. So that's where my hair career started. And I have a salon space there. I do freelancing hair, film, television, red carpet, a lot of different things. I started the Nomad Haircare 5 years ago. I have a hand sanitizer, technically still coaching, and a podcast. So that's 4. I have 5. It's a few.
Yeah, that's amazing. What I'm so fascinated by is how you went from, working as a hairdresser, owning your own salon, and then building a physical product. You have this amazing, I'm going to show your website here. It's a CBD hair care line. So like, how did Nomad Hair Care come to be?
Well, working behind the chair, I realized that I had a lot of sensitivities to product and I couldn't really figure out what it was. So kind of like in your diet, when you do an elimination diet, I did an ingredient eliminate list. So elimination list, we'll call it that. So I had found out with different tutorials and blogs on the internet that my sensitivity was silicone. And as a hairdresser, when you smooth the hair or when you use something that adds shine or produces a slip, silicone is the main contributor to that. It's very cheaply used and easy to make. And so a lot of companies in the makeup industry, skincare and hair care use it because it makes your skin and hair feel like baby soft. But what happens to me and a couple other people and a high percentage of other people is that it clogs pores, you get rashes, it creates acne, and it's not really a good product. It coats the hair and it just traps in a lot of dirt and residue. It's kind of nasty. So yeah. There wasn't a lot of products on the market because silicone was, it's very readily available. And so I started partnering with a couple different chemists and researching and just being a nerd essentially to see what would help me. And then I found CBD distillate, which is a thicker texture, and it's organic and made from the earth, obviously. And it's a little expensive to use, but it's a lot better texture than full-on silicone.
I feel like that's what happens to a lot of people, right? You have some sort of struggle with the product or something that's not working for you. And you're like, I need a solution to this. I'm going to create my own solution. I feel like that's the beginning part of entrepreneurship, right? You're a problem solver and then you just make things happen. So how did it come about? Like, how did you figure out I can work with the chemist and I can get this made? Was it just like you decided you were going to do it and you made things happen?
Well, the area that I'm from in Western Wisconsin is really close to Minneapolis, like an hour and a half from Minneapolis. And so I started Googling things around my surrounding area because let's face it, Wisconsin is kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I grew up very rural.
You're a cheesehead.
Yes,
Right.
So you don't really think of manufacturing in Wisconsin. And it was really hard for me to find something. So I had to branch like hours and hours away from my network. And I found somebody, secured them, and they said, hey, I'm based in California. I can't really help you. And they gave me a list of people that are close to my area.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was one big reason why I moved to California, is because I wanted to be closer to where I originally found this person, because I connected so well with them. He was an older gentleman. He reminded me of my grandpa. So we were just very close and would keep in contact. And so I just said, you know what? I want to be closer to that facility. I have more trust in him. I'm very into the sulfate free, paraben free, and more of like natural organic
Yeah.
chemical creation. And so that's what I chose to do that. So I would say for people looking to make a product, your first step is to look at where you're locally based, because shipping is very expensive. If
Yeah.
I work with plastic and glass products, and they are so expensive to ship if they're not close to you, or you're not trying to find someone that's at least somewhat close to you. The
Hmm.
same with your actual chemist or manufacturer. If they're not close, you're going to be paying hundreds of dollars in shipping. And so that's why I chose to stay more local versus overseas as well.
Interesting. Yeah. And so it's kind of your that first piece is figuring out what it is, what problem you're going to solve. And then like even just Googling, that's what you just Googled people that were close and kind of reached out. And did you tell people like, this is what I'm looking to make? Can you help me? Or can you like, do you know of anybody who could help me?
Oh yeah, a lot of phone calls, a lot of bad directions, a lot of rude people, but you have to be very blunt about what you want, because otherwise these people will think you're wasting their time. So if you have a clear vision and this person tells you no, it is not a bad thing. You just politely ask them, do you have a referral for someone else? Do you know someone that makes like plastic? Do you know someone that does this and this? The other thing I'll talk about is minimum order quantity. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah.
With that too. A lot of companies want an extremely high minimum order quantity, which means usually a base of 10,000 to 20,000, 25,000 units per order. So you have to do your due diligence and really research where you can maybe cut corners with that if you can't afford to do the full amount. At the time that I did this, I definitely could not
Yeah.
afford the 10,000. So what I did, and this is such a helpful tip, and we'll just talk about it. It's called piggybacking. So this is what I did for the plastic industry. So when I want my shampoo and conditioner bottles, I have to commit to 10,000 to 25,000 bottles. One, I have an apartment in Los Angeles. That's not going to happen for space. And two, the money won't happen as well. So I found out where the plastic was made, and I would call them and I'd said, hey, is there any way that I could like piggyback onto an order if someone's already making the exact same bottles that I want? And then I was able to order cases, not like full on truckloads of product. So that is
Wow.
a huge lesson that I learned. Because in my brain, I don't want a conventional looking product. There's like a stock product that you see every shampoo bottle look like. It's like
Yeah.
a very regular, but I wanted something different. And unfortunately, injection molding I wasn't able to do that. So I was really sneaky and found someone on a Reddit thread that said,
Yes.
hey, try piggyback. And I'm like, oh, this is genius. And a lot of
That
people who
is
are
so,
ready,
I've never heard of that before.
oh, it's wonderful. So in the plastic world and glass world, that's how you can get around a lot of stuff. So I don't know if I blew anyone's mind. Maybe I should get paid for this. I don't know. But like it took me 3 years to find out that I could do that.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then something else you said really piqued my interest was that like you want it to be different too. And something that I know a lot of online teachers, they I see a lot of the same products being made, or you know, people get in this like there's a couple industries where they're all making sort of similar products. And I think
Mhm.
again, it's like think of it more like problem solving, and then how can you differentiate yourself, and then again deciding once you're going to do it like you did. I think we were in our mastermind call, right, and there was one of the women in our call was talking about how she was like selling this product for someone else that she really liked, and we were like, well, if you really like it, like make
Right.
you and I were both like make it yourself. I
Mhm.
think people don't realize that it's not as hard as you think it is to do. It takes a lot of work and time, but at the same time, like if you want to do it, you can 100% make it happen. There are ways to do it, and if you can think more outside the box too, you can save a lot of money and create something unique like you have, and learning all these kind of tips and tricks like piggybacking.
Exactly. Too. A lot of people have asked me where they can find a chemist, or where they can do with white labeling. So my journey, like I don't participate in white labeling, which essentially means that when you find a chemist, you talk to them and they just have a product already made and it's in a bottle and it has like a label. You just fill in your name, essentially like your logo. I personally, for what I do, that's not my journey, but a lot of people in different industries do that. And it could be anything from makeup, eyelashes, clothing, already pre-made clothing. So I don't know exactly when teachers create a product, what that product will be, but that's how, when you mentioned there's a lot of similar products, that's how a lot of white label companies make money, is because you can see the product's shape and size and color are all relatively similar. And then the name or the logo is different, and it's, you white label it, you slap it on there and you call it a day.
Yeah.
And so it took me a long time to find somebody in a chemist that would actually let me, because I'm kind of bossy by nature, so I'm very like assertive. And so it
Yeah.
took me a lot of time and phone calls and emails to try to force my way into someone's office. And I found two older gentlemen who are like, they swear like sailors. They remind me of my grandpa, and they let me go in there. And because I know more about chemistry now, I'm like, hey, I don't want this ingredient. I break out from argan oil. I break out from this. Like, I don't want you to use this. Can you use, this other product, like 1 over dioxide? Like, I don't want this stuff in here. And so
Yeah.
if that's the route you want to go, you just have to be very persistent and don't let anyone talk you into doing that if that's not what you want to do. If financially you're not able to, then maybe do it for now with the intention of, getting that income from the sales of your product to, put into research and development. So that's what I would.
I love that. Yeah, I do think like white labeling is a great place for people to start. And there's a lot of companies where you can like, you like the t-shirt, let's say for example, you are wanting to have like a company where you sell certain t-shirts. There are like Printful, right? They literally print it, you give them design, they print it, they even send it out for you, I think, right? So that's an easy way where you don't have to put a lot of money up front, but you can kind of grow that pool, make some money, and then be able to invest it into something more of your own as well. So I think that's a good point of like having, maybe in the beginning, it's not realistic to invest because it does take a lot of money up front when you are creating a physical product, because like this time around, starting the second version of Office Any Chair, it's been just so much back and forth, and I had to hire a sourcing agent and getting different samples. It's a lot of money. I see the long run that it'll be worth it, but you have to really like commit and want it. So maybe starting and seeing if you like it, dipping your toes in with more white labeling, and then getting into something of your own is probably a good call for sure.
For sure. It depends on the industry. I should hold my tongue when I say that, because I'm like, that's not my journey, but I'm in the hair care space. So it's something you put topically on your skin and body. So there's a lot of more regulations considered. When teachers make products, I'm assuming it would have to be more of a physical, you're not really using it for health reasons.
Right. Yeah. Usually.
That's a little bit different. So in that aspect, I would say that would probably be a more feasible route to go. And then some companies, they even let you try things for free. You don't always necessarily have to pay a price. So the other advice I'll give to people making a product is don't ever accept a first offer. You need to have at least 3 points of reference, because if you call somewhere and let's say, for example, like I see in your background, there's a guitar and what is that, ukulele. So if you want to make those products, then if you call somewhere and they tell you like, oh, to make one ukulele, it's going to cost you $45. And then you're like, well, I don't know. I talked to so-and-so and it's going to be $35. So don't always. And then some people are like, it's going to be $900 for one. You're going to be like, who are you? And then it's just,
yes.
So you'll have to definitely explore, and don't be afraid to call. Like they get calls all day long, but be persistent, because if you get told no, or they don't answer the phone, or if they're like, yeah, call back later, they blow you off or don't respond. Oh, you better believe I'm calling, 24 hours from now. And then I'm going to call you a week from now. And then I'm going to call you every day to be like, hey, because in shipping and manufacturing, you're going to be waiting months anyway. So you might as well just really do the head work right away and get it over with. So.
Yeah. And I love it. That's so true. Like if you're getting a product, you need at least 3 estimates. And that gives you kind of a feel of like, what is that normal pricing? It more if you can even, right? Because you are going to get those people that are like, it does. I remember when I first started up, people would be like, this sample is going to cost you $100. I'm like, what? Like, and then you get another guy that's like, it's going to be $7. And you're like, okay, yeah, like goodbye. But if I was just starting out and I only got one estimate, I would have no idea of what the actual cost is.
Well, and then you'll be so well versed in your industry when you get a weird phone call like that they give you like an exaggerated number, you're going to be like, no, that's not right. And so then you start to like go back and forth with them, and sometimes they'll, be very firm, and you're like, okay, bye. And then other times they'll be like, okay, well, we can work with you. So they try to, it's like a counter,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it sounds a lot scarier than what it is. So if people that have like anxiety, or you're just kind of nervous about it, like, I didn't know, I didn't go to business school. I'm a hairdresser. I went to, hair school. I don't know anything about negotiating, but I learned really quick, because if I want something, I'm going to get it, and you're going to give me the answer. And if you don't give me the answer, somebody will.
Right, right. And it's the same thing too. Like if you're getting something manufactured in the States, right? Or like if like me, if I'm getting something manufactured overseas, it's the same thing of that persistence. And it might look a little different, like Alibaba. If people don't know, that's a place where a lot of people will try and find products or manufacturing companies. And of course, you can get like white label where they're already making the product and you slap your logo on it. But a lot of times you can get those people then to create a custom product. If you have an idea of a product in mind, you can go to a company that's making something similar and then ask them to tweak it, knowing that that factory already produces something similar. But it's the same thing, that persistence back and forth. People don't want to make new things if they don't think it's worth it to them. So you have to do what Jen is saying, and like you have to be persistent with people and really get those answers of like, maybe you can actually make this for me, and knock at the email door.
No, that's so true. Like, you just have, like, if you're very passionate about it and you think you can sell it, and I think it's worth it. I mean, the worst they'll tell you is no, and you just go on with your day. But if you don't try, then I mean, the answer will always be no, and you're not ever going to know if you could have done it. And with white labeling, what I do see with people that work in industries that are not in the hair world, it's all about marketing too. So if you have a really good
Yeah.
brand story, and your colors look good, and your fonts look good, and your logos look good, I mean, it can be just like anything else, like a candle. And I mean, there's so many white label candles. Most of them, I believe, I probably white label. I love candles. I'm going to keep buying them. But if they look cool, yeah, I'm going to buy it. Do they smell the
Yeah.
same as like this one? Hell yeah, they do. But I still buy it because of it's like drinking wine. The
Yeah.
label is really pretty. I'm going to drink that. So
Yeah.
again, don't be discouraged if you have to go that route and white label. I mean, hey, it could be the next big thing, blow up if you have a good graphic designer. There's different programs you can use for free to help design. But yeah,
Yeah. And I love that you said story brand. That's something where'd the book go? Oh, it's on the floor. Okay. But story branding is something I just talked about and that we were talking about in our group. But yeah, story branding or just branding in general, so important and can is all the difference no matter what kind of product you have. Gotta have good branding. I feel like we've covered all of the topics we want to go over, and you've given some really amazing advice. I want to now end with you sharing some advice to us. Like, what has been the best piece of advice that you've gotten as an entrepreneur? Or do you have like a motto that you say to yourself as you work for yourself?
I mean, I don't really know a whole lot of entrepreneurs in my close group of friends. I'm pretty much one of the only ones. Yes, I have a lot of friends that own their own business, but I didn't really have a network of people to talk to. So the groups that we do every week to kind of bounce ideas, because it's hard. Like, you're going to have days that you're going to want to jump out the window, and then some other days you're going to be like doing the hula dance because you're like, yeah, we had a breakthrough. It's tough. So I would say the biggest advice is that don't beat yourself up. If something doesn't go wrong, you're going to get really bad days. You're going to have bad phone calls. You're going to get told no. But in my experience, when that happens, the yeses are just like so astronomical. You're just like, why was I even caring about that? Like, that was stupid. Like, that was like, eh. So I would say just stick with it. And if anyone in your life doesn't support you, then get them out. Because if you don't have like a significant other or a family member or a sibling or coworker, boss that doesn't support your vision, you really need to just say bye and
Peace
get
and
rid
blessings.
of it. Yeah, I would say that's my biggest thing. Like, make sure you have a really good support system. If you don't have one immediately, find one like Danie and I did. Like, we were really kind of going through some stuff, and the group that we have, it's like we've become very close friends. None of us have ever met in person. We live in different parts of the world. I'm in a different time zone now than them. So yeah, there's resources out there. I guess is that a good? I don't know.
I think that's great. I think honestly, it makes or breaks entrepreneurship sometimes, having that accountability system. I know for me, like I tell people, one of the highlights of last year was finding you all, because it really was being like, wow, this is the first time I've been really able to share my ideas with people that are sort of exactly where I am, that have done what I do, who think the same way that I do, and have these really massive, huge dreams. And it's not, we don't say you're crazy. We say, oh my gosh, I see you already there, right? I see you already there, and let's get there together. There's something so powerful about that. And I think the fact too, that we didn't really know each other going into this group, that made it all the more special. Like yeah. So if you can find accountability groups, and I know I get some questions because I talk about our group all the time. Like after every time we meet on Saturday, I'm like always pumped, and I'll talk about it on my Instagram stories. And people are like, how do you find groups like this? This is something that I found. And I wonder if you found the same thing, Jen, but like we invested in $1,000 course, not even coaching. It was just a course. And that's a certain entrepreneur that invests money in their business. That's what I hadn't ever before like really invested that chunk in a course. I was like, oh, a course, not a coach. Is it going to be worth it? Well, first off, yes, it was so worth it, but also just the people that you connect with, because it's people that are already just trying to elevate. They're thinking like they are investing in themselves. That for me was so powerful. And I think that's why we were all like on that same field. Don't you think? What do you think?
I agree. Like I have never been one to really invest in courses like that, but I felt like for what my vision for another project was, I needed to kind of like level up per se. And when you invest in yourself, you're always going to win. And if it was, I mean, I don't have anything to say negative about the course. I still kind of dabble with it a little bit, but it's like you said, the networking aspect has changed just my daily life astronomically, because we still have like threads every day going. And it's funny because when you do participate in masterminds, like I'm talking like the really like well-known masterminds, like they're charging upwards of $5,000 to $10,000. And we made that initial investment, but it's been almost a year later, and all the information we get, none of us are in the same field. Like, mind you, right, we are all entrepreneurs, but none of us are in the same realm. We don't do that. None of our industries are the same, which is the beauty of it, because we're all going through the similar things. So we, for $1,000, we'll say, we have access to different programs people are learning, software, accounting, social media aspect, because we're all an expert in something else. And you always want to surround yourself with people smarter than you, because that's how you level up. And even though I don't do what you do and you don't do what I do, we still have the behind the scene is all the same. The social media, the marketing, the clients, the soliciting, the sales, like that's all the same at the end of the day. And so that's what you want. So I'm not going to pay Joe Schmo 10 grand to be like, oh, hi, I'm going to do a mastermind class and then like get all this valuable information. But it's like that small investment has leveled up, I think, all of us in the group. There's probably like 8 of us, I think.
Yeah. There's probably like at this point now, there's like 5 that really consistently come. Yeah. So, and I think for sure, if you look at it, like we've got an NFL publicist, we've got a New York Times bestselling author, we've got you who's just insane with your products and Urban Outfitters and Saks, and we've got we've got people that are literally working like high up in the tech industry that are building their side hustles. And we've got English coach. Yeah, we've got pretty much, it is interesting having those different fields and perspective. It's true. We're kind of all in the same trajectory, but we all do different things, and everyone's always leveling up with some coach they're working with or some course. And so it is, if you can have a group of people, again, like that mastermind, you never want to be the smartest one in the room. That I think is so vital. And if you find people that are willing to invest in themselves, that's where you can create a community like that. That's my best advice, I think, right?
No, for sure. The other thing before we log off, I'll add that I just started doing like a couple weeks ago, and this is like fresh for me, is that I joined Clubhouse. And if you're not familiar with Clubhouse, it's it's another social media app, which I know everyone's probably rolling their eyes like, oh, I don't need another social media app. This one is audio based only. And the people that are attending these are some huge big name players in any industry. I'm talking like, there's investment bankers, there's celebrities, there's people in marketing and networking and like any subject you could think of, music, acting, anything. These people that charge the 10,000 ticket for these 2-day conferences are talking at 7:30 at night with all their other buddies in the industry for free. And you can be a fly in the wall. I have my notebook out. I listen to all this stuff nightly, and it's live, so you can't ever If something's scheduled, unfortunately, you have to be there present time.
Yeah.
You can try to record it. I think if you do like a screen record setting, I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I'm amazed by the well-respected people in every industry that is attending. Like the other day, Mark Cuban and Elon Musk were just, in a room talking about different investments and just random stuff. And it was a huge room. And I was just like, oh my God, like to be in a room, like a conference with these people, to get in the door would be like impossible, but to have the money to pay for a fireside chat would be astronomical.
Yeah, and it's in real time.
It's insane. And so I use it mostly for the podcasting now because I've taught myself so much in the last few months about the podcasting. And so a lot of the rooms I attend are people that are like, I mean, they're not the Joe Rogans, but they're like Joe Rogan is like this guy, and then they're like the step under. So they run all the communities. And I've been brought on stage a few times to ask questions. And from there, I get followers and people. So my traction is going up and up because I'm participating and consistently showing up in these rooms. But for product creation and teachers, like I couldn't even imagine the stuff you could find. I mean,
that's a great tidbit.
So I would say it's invite only. It's unfortunately for iPhones only, which I don't agree with. I'm a new iPhone user. I've been Android for 30 years, whatever, BlackBerry. So it's helpful, but I think they're changing their system soon. So I would say if you have access to it, I can always send like a friend invite or something. If people are serious about it, I have no problem giving my invites away. So
I've got 2 invites till fyller yeah.
Yeah, for real. I'm passionate. If you want to do it, I think it's it's free. Come on.
It's free. Come on. It's free.
Super good.
Well, Jen, thank you so much. This has been very enlightening. I hope people listen all the way through because you had a lot of good golden nuggets in here. And Jen, normally I told her, I said, we probably can't swear today. Have you heard us in our mastermind? So no, she's got a podcast coming out and you can hear like Jen unfiltered. It's amazing. Jen is like one of the funniest people I've ever met. It's that tough love and she's hilarious and she's got loads of stories and helpful advice. So definitely check out her podcast that's coming out. It's Jen AF, right?
It's so on Instagram. If that doesn't say it all, like
that doesn't say it all.
But it's on Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Music. But the Instagram handle is Jen AF Podcast. Okay. And then that's my current baby. We'll see how that morphs into my 5th or 4th business or whatever business it is. I don't know.
I love it. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here today. My next interview is actually going to be somebody else that's also in our same mastermind. That is Raquela. She helped me level up in my branding. I actually hired her to help me level up. She has a branding course. And so she's worked with companies like Facebook. She's big time. So she's going to come on and give some tips for teachers building their own online brands. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And I'll see you next week.